The voice of Husker Nation is on the air. This is Hail Varsity Radio. Insight, opinion, expertise, along with the biggest names talking Nebraska sports. Join in with the show at 402-489-1240 or 1-800-825-5865. Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Welcome to it, Fridays here at Hail Varsity. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, and you will get our starting five shout-outs going. We'll talk big board. Good old Ty Robinson. How much moving and a shaking can the big man make? We'll share some thoughts on that. Great talk and topic with Searles yesterday. I want to jump back on with Nebraska football when it comes to that next step. That 8, 9, 10 win total. Plenty of unknowns there. We will dive into the unknown. Husker basketball, some thoughts there. Based on your mood and tone, we won't spend a ton of time on Husker hoops, but just enough as they head off to Wisconsin. And yes, it is the NFL extravaganza. One more till the big one. We'll talk Chiefs and of course, Bills, and then, yes, Eagles and Commanders. 489-1240, 489-1240 to get in here on Hail Varsity. 800-825-5865. Can email Chris at hailvarsity.com and fire away on the stream. Hail Varsity YouTube, Hail Varsity Radio, Twitter. Find Elijah. Follow him on Twitter at Herbalessence, at Schmidt_radio for me. And I have an important question to ask. You roll in, and I'm doing this a little bit later tonight with some friends and the wife. I guess she counts as friends. Prime rib or steak? You got to choose one or the other. Do you go prime rib or do you go steak? Because if you do one extremely well, the other's pretty well known for it too, right? You go to a steakhouse, you got the choice, prime rib or steak. I'm not asking baked potato or hash browns. Not asking if you do rare, medium rare, well done. I'm hoping you're a medium rare guy or gal. But I got to ask, do I stick with the steak or do I dive into the prime rib? Is it a question for you? Do you just go steak?
Well, steak and prime rib are
but
same thing. One is just seared on the outside and one is seared all over.
Sure. But I mean, there's a difference. No, I mean, they give you au jus or the creamy horsey sauce.
Yeah. I'm going steak personally.
Okay.
You got to get it's seared all over. That's the difference.
It's
the same cut. It's
come in from all over the world to frequent Nebraska spots, especially during football season. Where are you going to find Fowler and Herb Street if they're doing a game? They're in Havelock, right? Or they're down at the Single Barrel. I mean, so that's what I'm asking here. So I got that decision to make coming up here. I'm interested also in the team you love to hate. How many of you are, and I know here in Lincoln we're a Chiefs affiliate, but how many of you are completely anti-Chiefs? I know there's a lot of you out there. I know there's many of you that have liked Kansas City since the Steve DeBerg era. And then there's the late bandwagon joiners after Title I, or when Andy Reid got there. Totally get it. When Alex Smith was still navigating behind center. But is Kansas City up there on your list, the team you love to hate, or you're just, maybe the better question is you're sick of? You're sick of.
Well,
and you do hit that point of no return with teams. You're sick of watching Clemson. You're sick of watching Bama. Let's expand the playoff. You're sick of so-and-so winning all the time, right? So Kansas City's there as they're working on a three-peat. I never got into that mode. I never got
You ever got there with Tom Brady?
No,
with
because
the Patriots. I was cool with Tom Brady once he was in Tampa. I definitely reached that point with the Patriots.
Okay.
Where I was
Overconsumption.
Yes. It's, you know what? I want some fresh blood in the Super Bowl.
I didn't hate New England and Brady because of the fact he had really about a 2.5-year window where they gave him a ton of help. They went out and got the Randy Moss. I know he had Gronk, but New England, aside from Brady, always kind of just did more with less. I mean, you have and I like Edelman. I'm not knocking those guys' abilities. They're good ball players, but they're guys that they're with a whole bunch of overachievers on offense. And then there's the Randy Moss couple of years.
Well, it was just, the thing is, though, is that let's not act like the Patriots were devoid of talent. It was a whole bunch of guys that bought into the Patriot way.
Sure. They were very, very talented. You're absolutely right.
It's not like they were devoid of talent. They also had the best quarterback playing for them, who head coach and quarterback, play caller, always on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
You trusted that guy in the clutch. I mean, the only redeeming qualities to me for the Patriots were the fact that they had Danny Woodhead and Rex Burkhead.
Sure. Like, I totally agree.
Cool. I was cool with those guys. But other than that, it was like, okay, another year with the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Okay.
They weren't littered. There were teams that were way more talented than them. They had more talented skill players. All right. They had, look at the Cincinnati teams that never really got very far under Carson Palmer. That wideout room they had, or some of the talent during the LaDainian Tomlinson era on the Chargers, right? And the defense was exquisite for Baltimore, and Ray willed them to a championship. Even the Giants with Eli and Strahan, you get pressure up the middle on Brady, and it's a 17-14 game. Maybe you can sting him. I saw Brady compete his butt off in the playoffs at Denver. That was his first playoff loss 21 years ago. Was it 05 or 04? 04, right. So I was there with the pharmacist, Jeff, pharmacist Jeff. And saw that, and I was like, dude, it was just incredible watching live in person to see that shootout. Now, it sucked that Jake Plummer won that day, but anywho, I was wild. So, and he wasn't littered. I mean, Gronk's a Hall of Famer all-timer. He's great. And Randy Moss is a Hall of Famer all-timer for sure.
And you had another tight end there that, if he didn't screw up off the field, may have had an argument for it as well.
Sure.
I'm not going to utter his name.
No, I
think we all know who I'm talking about.
There will always be a moratorium, but there is the funniest picture that does come out every fall on Twitter. And it's someone posting, hey, look, the area of the bar to avoid during my fantasy draft. And in that corner of the bar is some dude wearing an OJ jersey, some guy wearing a Ray Lewis jersey, some guy wearing a Ray Caruth jersey, some guy wearing a Patriots number 81 jersey. That was Randy Moss. Wasn't he number 81?
Hey, Randy?
Yeah.
Are we talking about Randy?
I forget what number Randy was, but the guy you won't mention.
He was 81. Yeah.
Okay, so what number's the tight end from Florida? You will not utter his name. What number was he?
81.
Okay, so I was right with the number.
Oh, sorry, I thought we were talking about that the whole time. Let me check Randy. Oh, Randy with the Patriots, was he 84 or 81?
84, 88, something like that. I should know that. Forgive me.
He was 81 with the Patriots.
Okay,
how about that?
No.
They can still retire the number.
But that picture that's out there on social media, the corner of the bar to avoid, was always pretty good.
But so those Patriots teams, I feel the same way that I do currently with the Chiefs, where they're Walmart. And let me explain that. Nobody roots for Walmart. But you know what everyone still does? They still go and shop at Walmart.
They go.
And that's how I feel about the Patriots back during their run. That's how I feel about the Chiefs. Hey, I'm not going to root for them, but you better believe I'll be watching them on Sunday. I'm excited for that matchup. I'm really excited to watch the Chiefs and the Bills, despite the fact that, yeah, as a Broncos fan especially, but also just as a fan of the NFL, having one team that is dominant, it gets old. That's the best way to put it.
And it's hard to do that in the NFL because
it's much more fun to root for the underdog. It's much more fun to root for the mom and pop grocery store. That being said, I'm still shopping at Walmart. I'm still watching Bills versus Chiefs for the third time in the past 4 seasons, and I'm gonna love it. That's how it is.
I want to see Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow get back and cash it in. We'll see if that ever happens. 489-1240. Let's get our starting 5 shout-outs. Arlo Jr. is in. Mike is here, says yabba dabba doo. Uncle Larry is here. Uncle Larry, appreciate you. NASCAR Eric checking in. Anonymous is here. Said I was going to try to improve my health so I would live to see Nebraska win an NCAA tournament game. But I realize I'm not going to live till I'm 150 anyway, so the heck with it. Walter, south of Philly, says R.I.P. Calvin Jones, for sure. That sucked having to break that news yesterday. Not break, forgive me, but relay that news yesterday. Calvin Jones, love number 44. Kobe is here. Jay Downey says, happy Friday, almost time for adult beverages. William checks in and says, you got to do prime rib with cheesy potatoes. Arlo is saying, give me prime rib or bone-in ribeye. Brent says, prime rib is good, but overrated, too fatty. Go with the 24-ounce porterhouse. Kobe is crying, says, Chief haters. Game Dog is in, says, Brady always had less. His last 6 years in New England had 0 Pro Bowl offensive linemen, 1 1,000-yard running back. Last decade, he still had 3 white dudes playing receiver. Gronk was out in 2016. Brady did more with less. Totally agree, Game Dog. That's why I'm right there. Downey is wondering about your microphone, Elijah. Says, hang on a minute. So, yeah, there is that. Well, Rocco says GBR. Rocco, thank you. We'll see where Nebraska goes. We'll get into some Bill Doleman time, the pride of Fairbury, with us in less than an hour. Brian Christopherson going to check in as well from Husker 24/7 Sports, as he'll be with us at 4:25. And at 5:40, we are efforting the infamous Clausborne. He's imaginary and he wears red. We'll get our NFL picks for the weekend. So a little lighter Friday to get into. But Elijah, what do you think of the fact that there's $4.5 million out there for one Jeremiah Smith?
I mean, what's the deal with my microphone?
I don't know.
I just came back.
But you have Jeremiah getting a $4.5 million offer. And that's incredible. But it's understandable with what he was able to do. I don't believe that. Do you think he'll leave? Ohio State will have to.
They'll have to make a competitive offer. I mean,
right.
the $4.5 million doesn't surprise me at all. Like, actually, that's a guy that if you watch the freshman season,
he's incredible.
It's a guy that, like, if you go pay that money, if you pair him with the right quarterback, put him in the right offense, if you get your scouting right on just how to utilize him, that's a Heisman winner. That's a guy that's
number 1 pick overall.
2 years from now, Heisman winner, number 1 pick. Absolutely. The $4.5 million doesn't surprise me at all. Like, to go and get yourself a guy of that magnitude, it can change your entire offense.
The other 5-star they got is Tate. And he got offered $1 million.
Yeah, you let Tate walk to make things happen, to make sure you get Jeremiah Smith back. Carnell Tate is not Jeremiah Smith.
No,
there's nobody in college football.
Carnell Tate's damn good.
Jeremiah Smith is Julio Jones.
And I love it. Who do you think's tampering? Do you think it's Miami? Do you think it's Texas? I'm just throwing out. Do you think it's Texas A&M? Texas A&M loves to go shopping.
There's a thought. There's a thought.
Son, do you want to play quarterback? I mean, wide receiver here.
Follow the money. Or does Bama have the money to go and afford paying 2 top-tier wide receivers?
Yeah, but who's throwing to them?
You'll figure that out.
Well, I mean, you got saying that they think can be really pretty good.
Who's also at Ohio State.
Just saying, I know.
Mm-hmm. So
just
saying.
Jeff is here. Right? I got that $1 million offer in, Kobe. So Rocco asked, with all the recruiting stops that Rule's been making. Does he ever take a day off? He's earning that salary. Dude, Rule is a talker. Rule's a communicator. Rule's a grinder, right? And that is refreshing to have if you're a Nebraska football fan, a guy that is going to work, and keep working, but also knows how to chat and make people feel really good. Ohio State they got their ring. I think it'd be a bigger deal if you somehow pry Hartline away from that wide receiver room, because he's been flat out incredible.
And that's the best recruiter in America, we have to say, right?
Well,
with the 5-star talent he brings every single year and the way he develops them.
And have they left? I haven't seen a lot of guys in the Ohio State transfer portal at wide receiver.
No, and it's a first-round pick every single year. Stick with the process.
Mm-hmm.
You've
got Wilson in New York. Who's the other little dude?
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, in Seattle.
I think Hartline is still around with Michael Thomas. I think that was like one of his early guys.
Okay.
Correct?
Yeah. He's the Saints dude, right?
Yeah, you have Terry McLaurin.
And who kind of came out of nowhere, right? So that's pretty good.
We're still forgetting a couple here. Marvin Harrison with the Cardinals.
Starvin Marvin Jr.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
That guy? Yeah. Brian Christopherson's with us. We'll dive into that next step for Big Red football and also some portal options. Hail Varsity continues.
Perfect place to go for lunch every day.
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Where can you watch all of your favorite college and professional sports all season long?
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Who's got family-friendly entertainment all throughout the week, including trivia, music bingo, and live music every Friday?
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Hurrdat Sports Bar in La Vista is the spot for lunch, date night, corporate events, or even a late-night cocktail. A one-of-a-kind spot for sports fans and more. Behind Cabela's in La Vista.
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Man, are you sick of the gut? No matter what you do, you still have that gut. Limitless Mail wants you to know that GLP-1s can make that gut disappear. Lose 15% of your body weight in 6 months without being hungry. And Limitless Mail will guide you from start to finish. Limitless Mail customizes a treatment plan with the original GLP-1s. No knockoffs. Do you have back pain? One more reason to get rid of the gut. Schedule your free consult at limitlessmail.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Yesterday, your water heater worked just fine. Today, surprise! When you're out of hot water, just call the plumbers at Bryant. In most cases, you can get same-day water heater replacement. What you won't get is a costly surprise with the bill. At Bryant, the price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. No last-minute extras for piping or ventilation alterations. Need a new water heater? Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope. Whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons, he knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for hanging out on a Friday. It's Hail Varsity. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. And we will get to more of your comments in the stream. Hail Varsity YouTube, Hail Varsity Radio Twitter. And we welcome in Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 Sports. BC, how we doing? What's a good word, man?
I'm doing all right. Can't complain. Headed into the weekend with some big football games ahead of us. All is well.
I need to ask you, I've got a decision to make tonight, and it's a first world problem. Prime rib or steak? You got to pick one.
I would say steak. I think I'm in the minority on that. Not sure. I've never been as big prime rib. I'm a filet guy. If I'm going to really dig into a piece of meat, I get a filet. That's how I go usually.
Same, but I have seen pictures. So apparently we can't hear the phone caller. I can hear. You can hear.
Something is weird. Let me check.
Yeah, we're working on that. So if you're hearing us in the stream, that's incredible. So we'll just keep talking. The bone-in prime rib is always a Christmas special, but the filet is what I go with as well. I like the larger filet with it's a little thicker, which is important. But I might have to I haven't had prime rib for 100 years, so I might have to go that route tonight. And I will get back to you next week and let you know whether or not I made the wrong decision.
Oh, yeah, I'll wait on that. Just make sure if you do go filet, don't order like the junior filet, No, that's embarrassing. That's like a dog taking a doggy bag out of the place.
You've got to go with the king cut, don't you?
Yeah, you definitely do. Maybe part of it with the prime rib is I've had it with my family, and my mom likes hers like the cow is still on the plate. That's how she likes hers, so rare, and that I don't know, it turns me off just a slight bit, and so maybe that's why I have the bias I do against it.
Well, medium rare is the way to go.
I'm a rare man.
Yeah.
There's rare, and then there's blue rare. Rare, get out of here. Those are crazy people.
That might be my mom. I think that's my mom.
Oh, wow.
If it still looks raw inside, that is not rare. That's a misconception. There's the rare though, where it is nice, perfect wall-to-wall pink. Like, yes.
Well, we talk about rare, and 9 wins have been pretty rare. 8 wins have been pretty rare. 7 wins, though. You're smiling as a Nebraska fan, and we were talking with Searles yesterday, and that next step is to get to 8, 9, 10 for Nebraska. I just said Leroy Etienne, 8, 9, 10, but plenty of unknowns. BC, I want to get your thoughts here. Is it the lines of scrimmage for you? Is that where you start with the unknown part for Nebraska when we talk roster and even next season here, trying to meet and hit that 9-win bar, be that team that's in contention?
Yeah, I mean, you can always start in the trenches with me on that conversation because, I mean, that's where you win and lose games, especially in this league. I guess at this point, it is the one worry spot I have, sort of, even with the portal moves they've made, is how they're going to push ahead without Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmaker. I just love those guys who are like 23, 24 years old, and they've just been around it for 5 years, and it's grown men out there representing you, for 45 snaps. So it's going to be a big ask for guys like Riley Van Poppel, and there's some other guys who are going to need to come along. I know Elijah Judy's planning on being back, and some guys who maybe haven't played as many reps that are going to have to upgrade maybe 2 times the amount of snaps they've played in the past. So that part's going to be interesting to me. And then I think the other part of, if you're going to get to that 9-10 win category, I was writing about special teams the other day. The third phase, it can't be treated as a third phase. It has to be something that is not just they're going to break even with it, but they're going to break the game open with it. And I feel like, in the last few years, we've all sort of just been hoping they can kind of hold steady and hold the line with that. And so however they go with the special teams coordinator hire, that needs to be an operation that is dialed in. Last year I was just going through the numbers. You have like 73 punt return yards for the whole season. There was just no
awful
threat there. Yeah. And then you have a net punting average of 35, which, is one of the lowest in the country. And so you got to knock that up 5 or 6 yards. So they have to climb like 2 or 3 steps in special teams, I think, to be the elite program that they want to be. And hopefully everybody over there sort of wants to be involved in it. I especially think in this climate we're in college football with the 105-man rosters, it's a big deal to make yourself valuable and be someone who's out there on teams and doing that stuff on 3 or 4 of those units. So you would hope whoever comes in brings the energy, like everybody wants to be a part of it, and really excel at that, because I think that's what Nebraska is going to need besides the good O-line, D-line play and everything else.
Brian Christopherson with us here, Hail Varsity Radio, talking some Husker football. And Brian, as you look at the next couple of months, I mean, obviously special teams remains a big question mark, not knowing who the next guy is going to be to lead that unit. But outside of that, I mean, I look at winter conditioning, the upcoming mat drills. Who do you think needs to show the most over the next couple of months, understanding there's a 105 cut down coming? There's been a lot of talent brought in. Who do you think needs to show that development through the winter months to have a chance at some playing time next season?
I think it's a great question, and I don't think there can be one guy over there that's thinking I can rest on my laurels or anything like that. And you even look at the secondary. I know like Deshaun Singleton's coming back, and Buford and Hartzog, and you've got some of these guys. Let the best man win. And there might be some guys who are second, third year players who have been chomping at the bit, who are ready to make their move and really push that competition in the secondary. I think wide receiver is going to be interesting. I mean, they've got, like 17 or 18 guys over there right now. Is that the number they're going to carry on the 105? I kind of think they would knock that down a little bit. And so, obviously those guys have taken note of the fact that there's a new sheriff in town with Tequil Shorts running that room. And he's brought in some guys he really likes, and Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter. And I think Harley Gilmore has maybe the highest ceiling of them all. So I think wide receiver is really, really fascinating. Like, we're all excited to see what Ja'Cory Barney can do in round 2, but competition I feel is elevated. So he's going to have to step up, just to secure, like, I'm a starter. Like, nobody can take anything for granted over there right now.
BC, with that secondary, the young crop of kids that maybe got to redshirt this year, on top of some of the new faces that are in with the portal, and then some of the old guard. I mean, it's a really interesting dynamic. You've got a lot of options, which is good, and they need to be better in the secondary. And you've got some body types that are different. You've got some athletes, but you've also got some guys that are football players as well as athletes. Do you think you see an upset? I mean, guys that are starters or incumbents, do you think we see some shakeups with a couple of those safety spots where young guys not only push but take over more snaps, or maybe even a starting role?
I think everybody's just got to be like, Malcolm Hartzog is a guy, I love his effort, and he's played a lot of football. He's going to have to be dialed in, because I know there's guys trying to take what's his, The same goes for Marquise Buford, and he was sort of banged up last season. He's a great leader in that room, has a high football IQ. But there's some talented young guys that probably think, hey, I can have that, and I can upgrade here for you. Andrew Marshall, I think, is a really interesting addition as a corner / return man from Idaho, who played the best football of his life last year and is feeling really confident coming in. So he's a guy to watch. Obviously, Sarah Wright showed us a lot of good things, and I think he's got a great personality too in that room, and I think other guys will follow him. But I bet if you talk to him, he would say, I don't expect anything to be given to me, and just because I was in this spot last year, I don't necessarily say put me in pen for it this year. I got to go get that. Donovan Jones, obviously, if you want to throw out a name who just suddenly interests everybody, I think after the Pinstripe Bowl, it's him, because he goes in there after working at safety for most of the fall, plays corner, and plays like 50-some snaps and held up great he makes a great tackle in space that hopefully people appreciate it. He fought through like 2 or 3 guys to get the stop, and I think stopped the real explosive play that might have been a difference in that game. So I like what he's made of, and I think there's some other guys like that. Caleb Benning, I think they like a lot. There's guys like Ramir Stewart who, aside from some injuries here and there, they've been interested in. So I do fully expect, especially with Addison Williams now coaching the secondary in his first year here, everybody probably sees an opportunity, and everybody also feels a bit of pressure because they do know there's 27 guys in that room, and maybe there's not going to be 27 by the time you get to August.
With this 105, what's the number? What is the number at wide receiver? How many do you carry? What's the number in the secondary?
Man, that's the question. It's so hard because you can go through like every position and be like, it's got to be a little lower, right? So wide receiver is 17, 18. Does that get knocked down like 14, 13? Is it something like that, or that's going to be something where we need the template sort of set for us by like, what does Rule and his staff see at certain position groups that you need to survive? Like quarterback, like right now there's technically 6. Like, what's that number? 5 maybe? Mm-hmm. Running back, I think if you count running back / fullback, there's 9. That seems like it's a couple more than need be. So it's going to be really interesting. And that I brought up special teams off the bat because it's kind of been on my mind, because I do think there's like some walk-on guys too that you are going to have to consider keeping, even though maybe they're fringe 2-deep guys, like Vince Genatone or somebody like that who is valuable to you there. I know like a walk-on running back like Rowdy Bowers, a guy I heard a lot about sort of behind the scenes last year. Some people wouldn't even think about him, but I'd keep him in mind. I would tell people, don't just assume like, oh, you just take off all the guys that I think are walk-ons and there you're at 105, because I don't think it's going to work quite just as simple as that.
BC, last thought here, about 15 seconds. Pick your Super Bowl matchup.
I hope I shouldn't say this because it's Chiefs country, but I hope it's Bills Commanders. I think it's going to be Bills Eagles.
All right. I want to see Washington and Buffalo. I think that'd be all right. BC, have
just
a
like
weekend.
1992, yeah,
right
at the Metrodome. There you go.
Be good, buddy. Thank you much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Boys basketball Friday night. It's the oldest city rivalry as Lincoln Northeast plays at Lincoln High. You can join Will Wilson for the play-by-play. Coverage begins at 7:05 right here.
FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR.
There's a lot on the line in a divorce. Your home, savings, retirement, maybe even kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce and the unexpected directions it can take, you really need a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. We're committed to helping protect your personal interests and the life you've built. Don't let divorce take more than it has to. Talk to us today.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Save big money now at Menards. Stand up to life's messes with our great selection of durable and waterproof flooring. Great Lakes vinyl plank flooring is easy to install and is durable, pet-friendly, and waterproof. Plus, it has sound-reducing attached pad for added comfort. Update your spaces with Great Lakes Legends vinyl plank flooring through January 26th for just $2.99 per square foot. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards. Every kid deserves a mentor, and there's a child out there waiting for you. Teammates of Lincoln knows firsthand that one-on-one relationships build hope and community. Be the support you needed when you were young.
Make a difference 1 hour at a time. Go to LincolnTeammates.org.
Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Comfort, energy, performance, and pain relief at the Good Feet store. Visit the store for a free test walk at 27th and Pine Lake Road across from South Point Mall near PetSmart or at goodfeet.com.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Fabric Talk. Hello, my love. I am your living room carpet. I see everything. I feel everything. After a while, I smell like everything, including Sir Pickles, who you snuggle with while binging that dating show you can't stop watching. So, how about we freshen things up with Febreze Fabric Spray? Oh, and a big spray for my pals, couch and ottoman. Ah, yes, refreshing. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Hey, this is Dan Bongino, the former NYPD police officer.
Hail Varsity Radio is live. Now, back to Schmitty.
Schmitty's a great guy, but he don't have a brain.
And Elijah.
You want me to speak? We're not pointing you yet.
On Hail Varsity Radio.
Back to you. It's Hail Varsity. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. Hope you're doing well. So, some questions in the stream, and we'll dive into some Ty Robinson here and his projections via Mel Kiper. We'll get there. 489-1240 to get in. 489-1240 or 800-825-5865. Rocco says, he says Nash took a bit of a step back in 2024. And Rocco says, I think him cutting weight for wrestling had an impact with his on-field play. Game Dog says Van Poppel will be a better run stopper than Nash was. I think he takes a big step. I think Van Poppel can be a guy that transitions from kind of instant impact when he is in to a guy that doesn't necessarily get caught in the weeds going from part-time to full-time, if that makes sense. I think he can be ready to rock.
I wouldn't say I think he's going to be a better run stopper than Nash. There's still a lot that remains to be seen.
Can be
there.
Adequate.
I think he fits what Nebraska wants to be as a run-stopping team moving forward more than Nash. We talked last offseason about Nash. He's wrestling. He's dropping weight. They want to make him more athletic. You have a guy in Van Poppel that kind of, to me, splits the difference between Ty and Nash, where you have that load inside that can take on double teams. But I think Van Poppel has a little bit more athleticism a la Ty to him. Whereas, I mean, we could all see with our own eyes, Ty and Nash, somewhat similar body types. Ty had the obvious edge in athleticism, just in terms of what he could do. You saw him, I mean, they brought him in on fullback and let him go kill dudes on the goal line for a reason. It's because of that athleticism and that I'm not sure what you'd call it besides just athleticism and mobility. I think Van Poppel kind of hits the best of both worlds of being a strong load inside that has a little bit more mobility to him a la Ty. So that's why I think he might not be the better run stuffer, but I think he may fit your scheme for stopping the run a little bit more, where you're going to get your guys inside moving and slanting and stunting and being a pain in the butt for an offensive line in that way, as opposed to just, you know what, we got 650 pounds in the middle. We dare you to move it.
Well, the big board rankings per Mel Kiper has really good numbers here for Ty Robinson. Ranked the number 6 defensive tackle in this upcoming draft. The players in front of him, the Michigan, Oregon, and Ohio State. So guys that ended up in front of him on the all Big Ten selections. You'll have Ty being able to show off and show out for the Senior Bowl down in Mobile on February 1st. Really good story from the On3 folks and their conversation with Jason Peter about just, you know, what Ty was able to show. A guy that came back for a 6th season, a guy that is about leaving the place better than he found it. And all those things are true, but a guy that really didn't disappear that much. I mean, there wasn't a game where, well, man, where's Ty Robinson been? I think he was pretty constantly a guy that you had to game plan for sure. Him and Nash both. What a tag team. But Robinson took over parts of some games, and that was impressive. You look at how well he played against Iowa. You look at how well he played against Boston College, Rutgers for sure. I mean, he really continued to improve each each season he was at Nebraska, and it kind of crescendoed for him this season. So maybe he slips in to a late first round. Maybe he falls to a second or third day guy. Coming back was really the chance to push for that late first round. And he's ranked in that top 25. And there's a lot of things you can say about this upcoming 2025 NFL draft, right? With Ward and Shedeur. But what else do you have? Where are you heavy in this draft class? You've got some good defensive tackles. You've got some good edge. But right now it's kind of a different draft where someone's going to like you, someone's going to perform. And the Senior Bowl film says a lot of things. I think you listened to Jay Moore with us, and Jay talked about that experience and also the NFL training. So I really like where Ty can land. I like the fact that Ty really doesn't have any questions to be answered, to be honest. He's been a healthy performer for Nebraska that is absolutely committed. And I think he can play a lot of years in the NFL. If he doesn't want to, or it does not end up working out, guess what? He can go be a doctor. So he's all good.
He can go back to his, was it his camel? His camel down in Arizona.
Because he was telling us that for media days. And I had heard that story. I had forgotten that story. And then he brought the camel to show and tell in high school. And you got to name did he name his camel? Was it Humphrey? Or is that just the Beanie Baby? Or might have been Joe.
We'll have to go pull the old Beanie Day interview.
Might have been Joe. So we'll see here. Matt emails in, and this is pretty good. Says, Chris and Elijah, hello. I know you two think I'm a nut job, but now that's okay. I'll take my wins where I can. With that said, here's an idea. With the logjam of players coming with roster numbers, revenue sharing, more eligibility coming, and so on and so on. And I meant to get to this email yesterday, Matt, so forgive me. Everyone's looking for that edge, right? Right. So here you go. Nebraska needs to open a junior college right there in Lincoln, on campus if possible. I've checked, and while not common, it is done, usually with a separate administration overseeing things, but still at the major university. Then you build the most badass JUCO football program in the country, and here's the deal. JUCO isn't going to count against eligibility anymore. You park a bunch of players there, pay them, and season them up before bringing them up. It's that taxi squad Doleman has talked about. You've got Iowa Western that is a really high-level JUCO program.
Well, he's onto something. Let me just say that right away.
And I think Verz has talked about it too.
I'm not sure you build it yourself, but you definitely are going to want to go in with a collaboration, probably with one FCS school, one junior college school, and you can kind of have the little triangular where, hey, we got some guys in Nebraska. We saw them for a year. We think they need some more seasoning before they're ready for the 105. So we're going to send them to FCS or to our JUCO, and all the while that those teams are producing talent for you to send.
And you're playing meaningful football.
Yes.
Right? You're playing meaningful football. You're getting a chance to compete. And if you show out, maybe you move up. You hate to use the term minor league because these players and these programs are not minor league at all.
But you can find a mutually beneficial relationship.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if someone comes in ballyhooed and doesn't perform, I mean, they can go to the portal, but they want to stick and stay, rare. You for sure can go somewhere else.
Here's another question. Could you also take care of them
Matt, thanks for the email.
If they're at another school, say they're at a JUCO or at an FCS school, could you take care of them monetarily, NIL-wise, and say, hey, talk to us in a year?
What do you mean if it's under the same university umbrella? Why not?
You can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When disaster strikes, the food supply is the first domino to fall. It can start quietly, an emergency alert, a breaking news headline. But within hours, reality sets in. People rush to grocery stores, emptying shelves of everything from bread to canned goods. Lines stretch out the door, tempers flare, and desperation takes hold. And no matter who's in charge these days, you simply can't rely on the government to bail you out. That's why having an emergency food supply on hand is the right move for you and your family. Right now, you can get $50 off a 4-week emergency food kit at mypatriotsupply.com. They're an American company trusted by millions, offering 2,000 calories per day with essential vitamins and minerals to keep you strong during a crisis. This food will be there for you when you need it, since it lasts up to 25 years and can ship out to you next day. Go to mypatriotsupply.com now to get $50 off your 4-week emergency food kit. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
When you choose new flooring, you don't want to wait for weeks or months to enjoy it. You want it installed right away. Hi, Steve Carper from O Street Carpet. We hear stories every day about long waits and installation charges way higher than necessary. When you choose O Street Carpet, we'll measure free, install right away, and at a much better price. Stop in, shop now. Proud to be Lincoln's choice for nearly 50 years.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street and ostreetcarpet.com.
In a divorce, it's important to have a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell, a domestic litigation and family law firm. We champion your rights as an individual and your role as a parent, taking an aggressive approach in court while leveling the legal playing field in domestic matters. That's what a champion does. That's what Cordell & Cordell can do for you. Visit us at CordellCordell.com. Schedule an appointment.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
More of you have chimed into the stream. Tim has checked in. Ken is here. And so far, the steak take is outweighing the prime rib. So the thing that you worry about, and I agree with this, is how much fat is on the prime rib.
Well, and that's the
do you do the creamy horseradish with it?
I think that's overrated.
Really?
I like a nice...
do you like the au jus?
Au jus, you get like a little red wine reduction going.
Okay.
But no, the thing with the prime rib is, if you're going to do it, it's great. It kind of has that wow factor. If you can get that wall-to-wall pink, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's the same cut as a ribeye, essentially.
You just got to go. No, I know, but the way that the way it's roasted, it's so good. Though.
It is good. The ribeye though will render out that internal fat just a little bit through the searing process and make that a little bit more edible for you. Also, you don't run the risk of overcooking the outside and having that perfect inside. Where now the rib cap, which is the most tender and tasty.
I'll say this:
overcooked.
like, are you like? I kind of like the heel of the loaf of bread. I love that.
Oh, the salty heel of the prime rib.
Yeah. I mean, that there's a fight. I got to say this, man, and I've been a little distraught today. I mean, I've been shaken up, and I was telling Elijah this earlier. So sometimes you see, if I'm doing the show from home, or you see me on the weekend edition, and we'll be in tomorrow morning, 7:45-ish for the weekend edition. You'll see Gertie pop up and the Mad German. Well, legit. My left foot's bleeding still. the German Shepherd and tons of fun, Roz the Labradoodle, she's 82 pounds. They got into it. Shockingly enough, Mama ordered something from Amazon.
Don't pin this on her.
Well, Amazon showed up. She's like, oh, look, more crap I don't need. We opened the box. She opened the box. Gertie and Roz thought it was TREATS. And then it was straight up
Fight Club.
It was Michael Vick's backyard.
Jesus Christ.
It sucked, dude. I had to break it up. Running out of the bathroom. I was shaving. And I got the German with her jaws around the Labradoodle's neck. And then I got to pull them apart, and they aren't listening, right? They're good dogs. I love them. But I got to pull them apart. And when I do that, like the German gets hammered by the Labradoodle, who outweighs her by about 30 pounds. And I got to pull the Labradoodle apart. And Gertie looks wrecked. Like her leg hurts, and I'm like concerned. It's like, we got to take her to the vet. My wife's like, no, they'll go sleep it off downstairs. So it's ruined me. I'm concerned about my German. My mad German.
So it's prime rib to make you feel better?
I'm shifting. I'm talking football and food. That's how I've gone into today. So I'm going to call my wife here during the break and make sure the German's all right. I'm going to ask her I'm going to FaceTime her, pray she answers, and I'm going to go see how Gertie's doing. Roz is fine, dude. Roz is going to eat, and she'll be good.
Well, on the bright side, at least your foot just bleeding, not broken, like you were on a golf course.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's purple.
not the first time.
No. But at least it's the foot, not the ankle. Bill Doleman, Pride of Fairbury coming up. It's hour 2 on the way with Hail Varsity.
At Limitless Mail, we started with a simple mission: to help men feel like themselves again. For too long, men have been told their testosterone levels are normal despite ongoing symptoms. When you come to Limitless Mail, we don't just look at numbers. We review your symptoms and draft a personalized treatment plan. Your doctor isn't wrong, but you may need higher testosterone levels to feel your best. We've helped countless men regain their vitality. Now it's your turn. Schedule your free consult at limitlessmail.com.
Hi, this is Jeff Mull with Visit Lincoln. As the cold winter months continue, there's never been a better time to discover the great things to do in downtown by spending a day in downtown Lincoln. A full day begins with a hearty breakfast or caffeine boost at one of our many coffee shops, followed by exploring artifacts at the Nebraska History Museum or taking the kids for a morning at the Children's Museum. And for a quick lunch, there's plenty of options existing, from authentic cuisine from across the globe to traditional American food. After lunch, it's time to discover the many unique shops like Threads or Ruby Begonias, and then catch an afternoon show at the Marcus Theater Grand. Dinner options include elevating your dining experience with a date night at the Dish or Aragon Tavern, and progressing to winding down with a nightlife experience at Barrymore's, the Copper Kettle, or the Zoo Bar, and wrap up with a sweet treat from Hertz Donuts or Insomnia Cookies. I'm proud of tourism in our community, and it's one more thing I enjoy about life in Lincoln. I'm Jeff Mull.
Patriot Plumbing, Heating, and Air. The folks with the stars and stripes on their trucks know that if Mama is cold, everyone in the house feels the chill. Now that the sub-zero temperatures are here, Mama has that bone-chilling stare. Your family is layered up in sweaters and fighting over the blankets. You know who to call to get the heat back on. Patriot Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Call 402-464-7411 for exceptional service at reasonable prices. Online at patriotlincoln.com.
Lincoln's local news, talk, sports, and weather station. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, and KFRX HD3, Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. President Trump will get a tour of the deadly wildfires in Southern California. It will be a second stop today, visiting federal disaster zones. Earlier, he was briefed on North Carolina's recovery efforts from Hurricane Helene. In Asheville, the president hinted FEMA may go away and aid could shift to states for them to handle. Here's ABC's Mary Alice Sparks.
There's a lot of people who agree that there should be a way to cut through bureaucracy, get aid, get disaster relief to people on the ground faster. A lot of former FEMA directors from both sides of the aisle, Democrat and Republican administrations, who say absolutely help give states more funding to give out themselves. So I think that there is a lot of room probably for bipartisan changes.
In Los Angeles, winds expected to ease later today, and rain and snow are moving in. ABC's Alex Stone is in LA.
The Los Angeles region is going from weeks of extreme fire warnings, which just expired today, to now a winter weather advisory and the threat of rain and snow this weekend. It likely won't be much rain, but even a little could trigger mudslides and debris flows in the recent burn areas because the ground is bare and fragile, unable to absorb water, and there's so much ash and debris that could move. Sandbags and concrete barriers are being put into place to prevent deadly mudslides.
The first wave of active duty military troops arrived at the southern border. That after President Trump declared a national emergency. ABC's Louis Martinez at the Pentagon says their role will be limited.
You would think that these are units that are going to be involved in law enforcement, but that is not the case. This is strictly a support mission, and what they're doing as well is they're highlighting that the United States here is really focusing on a military component to this. They might not really be needed given the current situation there along the border.
A full confirmation vote set in the next 3 hours for Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth. Republicans can only lose 3 votes without Democratic support. You're listening to ABC News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
A citywide pursuit and a laser pointer arrest. Hello, I'm Will Wilson. It's 43 degrees at KFOR. There was a pursuit of a vehicle that fled a traffic stop in the Belmont area just before 9 o'clock Thursday night and went across Lincoln before the silver sedan was found in a downtown parking garage.
Stop sticks were attempted about 30 minutes later near Gateway Mall, but were unsuccessful. A request to terminate response for all LPD units and NSP Air came just after 9:30 p.m.
Lincoln Police Public Information Manager Erica Thomas says the vehicle was eventually found parked in the parking garage at 10th and Q Street. The suspect was gone and it's believed the vehicle was stolen. During that same pursuit, a green laser was pointed at the NSP helicopter. It was traced back to a dorm room at Abel Hall on UNL City campus, and an 18-year-old was arrested. Read more about both stories at KFORnow.com. Lincoln Police say a 59-year-old man is in critical but stable condition after an assault Thursday morning at an apartment close to 21st and G Street. LPD Public Information Manager Erica Thomas says the victim was in a nearby parking lot with a head injury.
The victim was taken to a local hospital for treatment of a laceration to his forehead and a brain bleed.
During the investigation, Thomas says officers found out the victim and Tyrone Canby were at a nearby apartment where Canby hit the victim several times with an object. Canby was later arrested for first-degree assault and use of a deadly weapon to commit a felony. This week, Lincoln Police Chief Mashawn Morrow said the department will continue to enforce city ordinances and state law with equal treatment regardless of an individual's immigration status. Mayor Larian Gaylor Baird told Lincoln's Morning News on KFOR LPD will continue the tradition of cooperating with the federal government and to make sure good communication is happening. She says the city is in a wait-and-see mode.
Some of the orders that have come out of the federal government have been quickly modified when the full consequences and impacts are understood. So we don't want to presume anything that is going to happen locally.
The announcement from LPD came after the Monday inauguration of President Donald Trump, who pledged to launch the largest deportation effort in United States history. Mostly cloudy tonight with a low near 23. I'm Will Wilson, KFOR News.
When the winter weather arrives, the TV stations start their choreographed dance. The live shot from a busy street, the stock footage of the salt trucks. Yeah, that's fine. But what happens when the cable goes out? Or the power? Lincoln's KFOR reminds you to keep a battery-powered radio handy this winter. Because as much as we laugh, when we see a reporter sticking a ruler in the snow, you know, some storms just aren't that funny.
Keep up with the local news, sports, your favorite talk shows, and pro shows on KFOR wherever you roam. Stream us 24/7 at KFORnow.com or on your mobile. You can download the free iHeart or TuneIn app and stream KFOR on the go.
The following is a paid program. Content is provided by Hurrdat Media and may contain pre-recorded material. He's the pride of Fairbury, an average Joe. Bill Doleman, the professor.
I had a 6 ACT in 1967. One time I got an A and my grandma beat me for cheating.
Now with Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for hanging out. Pride of Fairbury is here. We will get his take on steak or prime rib. The correct answer is yes. You do both. Steve, check it in. Steve, thanks for calling. Welcome into Hail Varsity.
Hello, Chris. Hello, Elijah. Just a couple quick things. I'll be brief. First of all, your Hail Varsity Radio show, no doubt, is number one. Great information, great personalities, led by you, Chris, and Elijah. Husker Nation and I, we thank you. If I could speak for them, we thank you. Between the prime rib and steak choice, well, both are winners, but I'll have to lean with that. We'll just roll with it. T-bone or ribeye grilled. Make it a baked potato with butter, sour cream, good shot of pepper. Get a salad in there with your choice of dressing, your adult beverage, and your bread. And I think you've got a winner, Chris. What say you, sir?
I think yes is the answer. That's the plate to a T. Steve, thanks for the phone call. Bill, are you hungry?
I am now.
And I think the thing is with the steak versus prime rib, the ceiling is a lot higher with steak, in my humble opinion. The floor is higher with prime rib.
What is Nebraska football right now? Is it steak or prime rib?
Cube steak? I don't know.
The old Salisbury special.
You have to be either.
I don't know. The hamburger steak?
Well, I think if you get that perfect sear, that perfect cook, which is easier to do with steak, you can get some more accoutrements, I think, on top of your steak, and it's socially acceptable with some of those compound butters or your onions or whatever it may be. Whereas prime rib, like, the meat has to do the talking.
Yeah.
If it's done right, it's solid. If it's done poorly, it's still fine. Higher floor on your prime rib, higher ceiling on the steak.
Okay, that's fair. Bill, what are you ordering? When you've been to the football banquets, when you've been to the Outlands, when you've been to the college football awards, when you've been to the Schmidt house on a Saturday, I didn't do prime rib for you, but are you going prime rib or are you going steak before we get into some football?
Well, I'm a steak guy. Look, if I'm at Misty's, then it's prime rib. I get that. There's just certain places where you have to honor the specialty of the house, especially in Nebraska. But for me, it's a steak, it's filet, and load up the baked potato. You eat the peel, you enjoy it all. A nice, I'm certainly enjoying my newfound love of bourbon, so I'm sure I could find a nice old fashioned to go with it. I will say this though, look, and I don't say this because I'm a native, but the best steaks I've ever had have been in Nebraska, at least 3 of the top 5. The best steak that I ever had, okay, and a lot of people can remember it. I mean, their own. In my particular case, I'm playing in this is back when I was hosting the Tom Osborne show when we went 60-3 and won 3 national titles, but that's a side point. So, when you're in that position, you get to, playing some golf scrambles around the state. And Nebraska had the Beef Club. And you had these great ranchers out in western Nebraska who would, donate, sides of beef off their ranch to help beef up the pipeline and whatnot. So we're having a Beef Club golf scramble. I'm pretty sure it was in David City. And all the coaches are there, Milt and Dan and Tony and Frank, and it was a big deal because these guys give a lot of money, give a lot of steak. So we're playing in the scramble, and then afterward there's a steak dinner. But the steak dinner, you go up to the Chuck Wagon Grill, and I'm pretty sure that Leroy brought in the sacrificial steer alive, and it was so fresh. I don't know if you did that or not, but that thing.
He's so fresh. He used to be on the Texas sideline.
I'm just telling you, but I get served this monstrous Fred Flintstone size Brontosaurus fillet on a paper plate with plasticware and probably bush lights in the cooler next to the picnic table. By far, to this day, nearly 30 years later, the best steak I have ever had, served on a paper plate with plasticware, coming from a good Western Nebraska ranch on a oiled drum, one of those massive barbecue things that somebody made in shop class. To this day, that's the best steak I have ever had, and it could not have been in more odd circumstances. But nothing like Nebraska beef, and get it to the Single Barrel. We've had great steaks there too.
Oh, big time.
Well, that's getting me thinking now. Is the future for 1890, instead of asking for cash donations, asking for sides of beef, just come drop them off at the 1890 offices?
Yeah. Well, that's what the Beef Club was all about, Yep.
Love it.
Yep. So,
Bill, we've answered the steak v. prime rib, and yes is the answer. And there's not a wrong choice. We were talking Ty Robinson a little bit. We were talking Ohio State having to pay to keep their wide receiver room, based on some tampering offers that are out there. And
who's tampering? The Falcons, the Jets.
That's funny.
I mean, the NFL is going to be starting to tamper with college football players, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. They can't tamper with each other, but I got to believe that in addition to these scouting reports and consortiums and the NFL Combine, there's got to be NFL people that are talking to college players saying, you got to go to the draft and we're going to try and get you or something. Who was to prevent professional football leagues, UFL or NFL, from tampering with college players now? There can't be rules.
That's fair.
There's no rules amongst college programs for tampering, just accusations.
Matthew emailed in, was talking about the Prop 48 days, and that was worked out well. Guys got their education. Guys also got to play major college football, and you had a slew of Prop 48 dudes that were difference makers. That went away when the Big 12 was formed, and another middle finger from Dallas or Austin.
By way of Dallas.
Probably Dallas. So I'm interested, though, with Matthew's email that I read last hour, and it was pretty much, hey, why not start your own JUCO? And Elijah had a point too, partner with an FCS. You were talking Taxi Squad on one of the Average Joe Sports Show pods, which will be live Sunday at 10:30. Do you do that? You can do that under your umbrella, and then just move guys down, and that way you can kind of have an advantage again, right, with the roster numbers.
Well, as I brilliantly said on the Average Joe Sports Show, my thought was, why couldn't you have a club football team on campus? And if you've got a 105 player limit and 2 or 3 guys go down with season-ending knee injuries or whatever the case might be, as in the case of Demetrius Bell and Teddy Prohaska and guys who are going to be out for 4 or 5 games, why not have a club football team that GAs, Nebraska used to have the JV program that was part of Nebraska football, right? They were on the roster. But why not have part of the coaching curriculum, graduate assistants who come in and work with, say, 40 players, and they just get to play football on campus. Look, we have for example, there is a swim club on campus, a competitive club swimming team, men and women. Now, Nebraska has a Division I women's swimming program, but there's a club program in addition to club soccer, club rugby, club hockey, and others. So why not do that for football where it's club and you just happen to have people on campus and all of a sudden your roster goes from 105 to 102, 3, down to 99. And you call up some people who just happen to be on campus and like to play football, right? So there are bodies and they can move up and you have your own. I don't understand why somebody doesn't give that a shot, right? But to your point, to have like essentially a AA and a single A program where you are recruiting players who are going to go to, you have an agreement with South Dakota, North Dakota State or something. Why not try that? I'm guessing that there is something right now. And you kind of do that when you hire a high school football coach from the Kansas City area, and all of a sudden you're able to attract some recruits. I mean, coaches have been doing that all the time. I mean, Larry Brown famously created some type of working partnership with the Manning family back in the mid-1980s when he hired Ed Manning to be his assistant coach. And oh, by the way, Ed's got a 6'10", son who is a pretty good player. And there's where the Kansas basketball program erupts to win the national championship with Danny and the Miracles in 1988. He hired Ed Manning and he got the son. Nebraska hires Mosey, he gets the son and a few more players. So you're already kind of doing that when you bring in these high school coaches to the program and create these recruiting pipelines. But I see what you're saying in creating that relationship with certain colleges. Now, are you guaranteed to get those players? Right?
NIL could guarantee it.
Well, I suppose, but then you're getting into contracts, which players are going to have to start signing when they sign on the dotted line to play at the school. Like, we're going to have you for 2 or 3 years here at Nebraska, right? You can't hit the transfer portal. You've signed a 3-year contract to play here with player or school option. That's coming. Contracts are going to come. That's the only way you're going to temper the transfer portal is to lock them in, right? There's going to be a contractual arrangement. And if you leave, there's going to be punitive damages, collective bargaining. Anybody who listened to the Average Joe Sports Show in 2004 would know that this is coming because that's what we talked about. And here it is. So if you hire a player or direct a player to South Dakota, he better come here or there better be some type of compensation for those who break their contract. But essentially you're creating a minor league taxi squad. But I think you ought to do it on campus, right? Nebraska had 8 or 10 players recently that are walk-ons that decided we're not going to play, like Alex Bullock. Okay, well, maybe you don't want to play, but hey, if you still want to be part of it, we'll put you on this 40-man roster and you can go out and play. And if we need you, we'll call you.
Works.
Sorry, I don't have an opinion on it.
It's Bill Doleman with us here, a Friday edition Hail Varsity Radio. And Bill, we do need to get your thoughts on NFL here in just a second. But before we get there, do you want to get your memories? The late, great Calvin Jones, news coming out yesterday that he passed away. Want to get your memories of him at Nebraska and the kind of legacy he leaves behind?
Nice guy. I haven't seen Calvin in probably since the 90s. Well, no, I take that back. I have seen him a couple of times around town and at football games you run into him and, hey, how you doing? That kind of thing. But I do remember when he played, I always found him to be always a smiling guy, kind of soft-spoken. He and Derek Brown were very complimentary when they were the famed Weebacks. So we always had fun with that nickname. Really sad at 54 to pass away. And, it sounds like, there was some type of home accident with the furnace or whatever it was. But I just, he's just a really nice guy. In college, I think he had a genuine love for Omaha and for Nebraska. People were so excited when he signed and committed here. And he's one of those guys that you see him grow up in high school and such a great high school player. He comes here, you meet him, you understand. It's just a nice guy, really good dude. I don't think, when Derek Brown was getting carries, Calvin had a problem. Good teammate. Just everything that you kind of want, when you cheer for him to become a Husker. Happy he is and glad he was. And I'm sorry for his loss.
Bill, might need just a smidge of overtime, but I look at Calvin and both backs wanted to be the guy. They both ran for 1,200 yards or more in 91 and in 92. Derek, I think, went to the draft in 92, didn't he? So he had a year of the Weebacks. So they were complementary, but yet the ability to push one another was fantastic. And it was something special because Nebraska really kind of got back on track in 91 with kind of closing the gap, and then in 92 for sure with their bowl performance. But it was Calvin and Derek, the 1-2 punch, man, was something special. And speak a little bit to that competition level, guys pushing each other, but also the respect for one another, which isn't always the case.
Yeah, I think that, that's part of being in a Tom Osborne program, to understanding, it's a little bit like Brooke and Tommy. Like there's a greater good here. Mm-hmm. And I think both of those guys, and certainly from different cultures, Los Angeles and Omaha, but the way that they were able to understand what their roles were, and as great as their season was that year, I don't think that had they been the guy that they would have had, it's not as though one guy got 1,200 and the other guy got 1,200. Well, if I'd gotten all the carries, I would have gotten 24. Right. I think the ability for Nebraska, and I think that's what Nebraska is kind of in search of right now. Who can be the 15 to 20 carry guy, and another guy can be a 15 to 20 carry guy, and you keep them somewhat fresh. And now, granted, Nebraska had some great offensive lines too, right? Everything was working on the offensive side, the great fullbacks and whatnot. But I think that they complemented each other so much that I shouldn't say the lack of carries, but because the workload was shared, they were able to have greater success than had they carried it alone. And great. I think they were really good teammates. I don't know what their relationship was, but I don't think it was divisive. And I think that's just kind of an example of what it was like playing for Tom Osborne. You had really great players who understand, that there's roles to play for the greater good. And I think they're good examples of that.
Bill, hang tight. If you got a couple minutes, need a thought on hoops before we say out.
I got plenty of time for you.
All right, hang on. It's Elijah Herbel. It's Chris Schmidt. It's Hail Varsity. Jeff Snitley with a steakhouse idea.
Where's the perfect place to go for lunch every day?
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Where can you watch all of your favorite college and professional sports all season long?
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Who's got family-friendly entertainment all throughout the week, including trivia, music bingo, and live music every Friday?
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Hurrdat Sports Bar in La Vista is the spot for lunch, date night, corporate events, or even a late-night cocktail. A one-of-a-kind spot for sports fans and more. Behind Cabela's in La Vista.
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. For over 3 decades, Cordell & Cordell has been on the front lines of family law. Divorce is more than just a legal process. It's a life-changing event that can impact your future, finances, and your relationship with your children. You've worked hard to build a life that you're proud of, and you deserve a legal partner who will work just as hard to protect it.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Hello from the 1011 Newsroom. Madison Pitch here. Tonight we're talking about the city mission reaching max capacity, how you can help as their supplies dwindle. Plus, an RV catches fire in a driveway, damaging 2 homes nearby. What firefighters say caused it all. Finally, a note for you. We are not on air tonight at 5, but we will be streaming at 6 and back on air at 10. I hope you can join us.
You've got your very own handyman to help remodel your home.
Broken faucet? The biggest faucet sale of the year is going on now. 250 faucets are in stock and on sale at Handyman Home Remodeling Center. Hey Siri, get directions to Handyman.
This is Jim Keck, minister of First Plymouth Church, inviting you to join us.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for hanging out on a Friday. It's Hail Varsity. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, and Bill Doleman with us. A little overtime with the Pride of Fairbury at Bill Doleman on Twitter. Catch the Sunday Live Average Joe Sports Show, 10:30. We'll get rolling and have more Bloody Marys ahead of Nebraska, Wisconsin. Bill, Nebraska in that tailspin of 0-5 now. Brother, they got to figure it out. They've got opportunity in front of them to not only win back the fan base, but also get some wins in league, because right now you're not being invited. The entire class gets invited to the birthday party, but you and two others in the Big Ten right now. Toughness is still a talking point a week later. What do you think of the leadership right now of this basketball team?
I'd like to talk about stakes again, Alex, for 200.
Okay, so you don't want to talk basketball. That's fine.
Well, Husker baseball was out on the diamond today.
Yeah, it was somewhat pleasant.
Look, I think if there's anything that probably bothers Nebraska fans in any sport, no matter what it is another word for toughness
not
is
covering.
Is competitiveness. Are you at least competing? Are you fighting? Are you executing? And if it doesn't work out and the other team beats you, I've said it for decades, people can kind of live with it for the most part, especially if it covers. But when you're not executing, when they're standing around, oh my gosh, the standing around the other night, just not acceptable. And when you hear we need to be tougher, that you just can't say that to Nebraskans. And again, I think Nebraska fans fell in love with the effort the last couple of years when, Fred started tinkering with the formula at Nebraska, and people like that. People can tolerate a 60-54 win in a Mo Iba-esque way if you're fighting and you're leading, you're winning the floor burn battle and you're earning those fouls and you're fighting for it. But when it's standing around and, oh my God, the shot clock's down to 10 and you got 18 seconds left or down to 5 and you got to drive to make a basket and then just making plays that aren't smart. I love watching Bryce Williams play, but you're driving down the floor and you're the shooter and you jump up in the air to try and find somebody to throw the ball to.
Why are you letting the ball out of your hand?
Exactly. Why are you leaving your feet and why are you letting the ball out of your hands? He'd have been better off to jump from 35 feet away and just let it fly and see if it goes in. The putt went in. Maybe that shot would go in, right?
There is no substitute.
Right. So the IQ in the moment is head scratching. And I think Nebraska is just in such a funk right now that it's hard to get the blocks to line up, A, B, C, and D. They just don't know how to play with the blocks anymore. And that's a really funky place to be. And Nebraska football was in that, after the hot start, the loss to Illinois, and just couldn't get it together. And then you get blown out at Wisconsin, kind of right the ship a little bit and got a chance to play in the postseason. But Nebraska's gone from, as you mentioned, a week ago, we're talking, I couldn't believe they were still in the NCAA tournament conversation after the loss to Purdue. But now it's like, how's this team going to get to the Big Ten tournament? Not even the NIT. That's how far things have fallen. And we're not even out of the month of January yet. So they got time to turn it around. but it's going to be very hard outside of winning the Big Ten tournament to get to the big dance.
It's Bill Doleman with us here. And Bill, last order of business before we get you out. NFL, it's conference championship weekend. Chiefs and Bills going at it, Eagles and Commanders. Do you have a preferred Super Bowl matchup as it stands right now, or do you have one that you think is just going to happen no matter what? Like, what's your take on what goes down on Sunday afternoon?
Well, I root for interesting. So I want whatever's going to be interesting. And I think with the Commanders and the Eagles, that's an interesting matchup. Jaden Daniels is everything Caleb Williams was supposed to be and will never be. They're a likable team. I love that they wanted to fire Sirianni after week 3 in Philadelphia, and now he might win them a Super Bowl. And they're a little bit like Ryan Day. He might win the Super Bowl, start off 0-2 next year, and they'll still want to fire him, right? With the 3 teams that are meeting in Kansas City this weekend, with the Bills, the Chiefs, and the team in black and white, that's kind of hard to figure. I think Chiefs have had their run. That's all well and good. I think Clete Blakeman is the official in that game. So I jest. I would love for the Bills to have their turn at it. I like the way Josh Allen plays. I like the way the Bills play. I hope it's a miserable game because I think that makes it interesting. So I think I'd like to see the Bills and the Eagles. And good Lord, you got a guy named Bill on your show. Why wouldn't I be going for the Bills, right?
I love Juergens. Saquon's great.
Well, did you guys see his status for Sunday?
Oh, I know he's
a little bit up in the air.
Yeah, but I just can't do Philly fan.
I agree. But when you have somebody that played in the suburbs of Fairbury, playing on the stage like that, you root for Cam Juergens too. I'm not sure which suburb of Fairbury he's from, but he's basically in the area, Jefferson County area.
Isn't most of southeastern Nebraska, aside from Lincoln, just a suburb of Fairbury? You could probably even throw Lincoln in there.
Everything is a suburb of Fairbury.
Kansas
is a suburb of Fairbury.
Who is your rival? Was it Auburn?
We're a little bit like, Notre Dame in Texas. Everybody wants to knock you off when you're Jeff.
Fall City?
Crete, maybe. Beatrice was a rival. Yeah. But we used to have, Tony George. We would talk about the great days of the Twin River Conference with Fall City, Aurora, Syracuse, Crete. Those were the days before conference realignment.
That's funny. That is so good. Billy D will have a whiskey later, and
I think we need one.
We'll holler at you on Sunday, bud.
All right, see you, boys.
There he is, Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman with us here on Hail Varsity. Don't forget the Average Joe live on Sunday, 10:30. And we've had a string of Sundays. We may be the bad luck with Husker Hoops.
Let's not play that game.
No?
It's like my dad playing the game of, I'm the reason why the Broncos keep on blowing in the postseason, so I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl. And then the Broncos won their first Super Bowl.
My father.
That's a legitimate story from my father, where he got so tired of watching the Broncos lose in the Super Bowl that whenever they finally got that one against, I think it was the Falcons, he did not watch the game. He cleaned his entire apartment, DVR'd the football game, and then watched it back after the fact. This is back in the era where you could actually avoid spoilers if you wanted to. So he assumed he was the bad luck, and then the Broncos win their first Super Bowl while he wasn't watching. So.
My father, God rest his soul. This is pre-flat screen era, but it is giant console TV era. And he got rid of the TV that Nebraska lost the 94 Orange Bowl on to Florida State. It was there for a football season, and then it was in the basement of the church because he donated it, and I'm sure he wrote it off. Bless his heart.
It worked, you could argue.
Well, yeah. Because we went over to Calvin's house for the 95 Orange Bowl. Yeah, we went somewhere else for the bowl. I don't know.
I do have.
Do you have a running tally on, like, all right, what's your record watching a game at your house? You're not that superstitious, crazy?
Across Husker football and Broncos football, it's been bad for a while now. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not keeping track. I was going to say, speaking of that Florida State-Nebraska game, hanging in my basement right now, I do have, it's like artwork of, who's the Florida State running back going over the pile?
William Floyd.
Going over the pile, fumbling the football.
Oh, and the ref's blowing his
nose, and it says one final blow.
Yeah, my wife got rid of that poster. I had it.
I have a pristine one in my basement. It's framed.
Yeah, I had one that was framed too. You get married and your stuff gets moved out.
Yeah.
It happens. All right, NFL, let's talk. You have Clausborne waiting in the wings where we'll make our predictions here.
Oh, we do have Clausborne in today?
We're going to plan on it.
Cool.
Either way, we got the forecast coming up in 5 minutes. So there we go. But Bills, Chiefs, what's the get-in price in Arrowhead tomorrow?
Are you asking rhetorically or
no, I'm asking. I'm asking out loud. I should say Sunday. What's the get-in price for 5:30 Sunday? I'm just thinking out loud. Be all right. 500 get you in.
It's making me ask. No, I don't want to rate your freaking app right now. Let's see. Kansas City Chiefs, AFC Championship game. Sort by price. You thinking one person or two? Let's go two. For two people to get in. You can make it in for $315 upper level.
Per,
yeah.
Sorry, Junior.
315. That's not horrible for an AFC title game, to be honest with you. If the Broncos were playing, I would consider buying myself one ticket and just going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you want to compare that over to the NFC side?
It's not quite the college football playoff championship 3,200 to get in.
Oh my goodness. The NFC championship game, get in price, standing room only, no seats, $812.
In Philly. Where someone's going to have half an empty beer.
You get stabbed at halftime.
Yeah, they'll throw it at you or they'll break it and go Happy Gilmore on you at halftime. But we'll have our predictions coming up shortly, but I think I hope it's a bit of a shootout. I want to see, was that COVID year? Was that the year that Buffalo and Kansas City, the short little dump off to Tyreek Hill, got Kansas City in field goal position to force overtime? Was that 2020? It was 2021. It's 4 years ago. That was like the mother of all games. That was awesome.
Chiefs 38, Bills 24. It was 2021 following the 20. Wait. No. Wait. Yeah. After the 2020 season, I think you're thinking 3 years ago.
Where it was just nuts.
Yeah, where it's all the scoring at the end.
Yeah, it was just bedlam with the scoring. It was good. I anticipate good football this weekend. Should be good. I don't know what to say about basketball. We'll have to sneak in a Nebraska prediction as well. It's part of the forecast. Do we have an active line?
We can make one. Wisconsin
minus 9, 9.5.
25.
Well, that works.
It's just the Husker basketball.
You just have zero interest in right. I mean,
they need to go get one of the next three to bring back some interest.
You want to see a little bit of a heartbeat for sure. I'm not saying they've quit. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there's not a lot of faith.
It's past playing well. They got to get a win against a ranked opponent.
Yeah, that's for sure. Claus is on the way.
Boys basketball Friday night. It's the oldest city rivalry as Lincoln Northeast plays at Lincoln High. You can join Will Wilson for the play-by-play. Coverage begins at 7:05 right here.
FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
I plan to rearrange my closet, but I stopped after picking the clothes up off the floor.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's award-winning language learning app will help you start speaking another language. Start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
Comment tu t'appelles? Comment tu t'appelles? Vous êtes où?
Vous êtes où?
Babbel's bite-sized lessons make it easy to learn words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks,
"How's your French going?"
you can say,
Babbel est amusant et facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue. Et cela ne prend que 15 minutes par jour.
When you want to really learn another language, it starts with Babbel. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
Back at it Monday with KFOR, Schmidt and Carroll.
President Trump visits North Carolina to look at the damage from
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for spending time. Hail Varsity winding down a Friday weekend edition tomorrow, 7:45-ish. As we'll do the 7:45, we'll say tip-off, kickoff-ish, right?
Heavy on the ish?
Heavy on the ish, right? There's your title. There's your title for today. Let's welcome in. He's imaginary. He wears red. We say hi to Clausborne with us here on Hail Varsity Radio. Claus, how we doing? Thanks for joining us.
I'm all right, Christopher. It's been kind of a tough week. I've been spending the day watching old Weebacks highlights and getting a little misty-eyed and nostalgic. Sure was good to hear Kent Pavelka's voice on there, though. By golly, what a talented football play-by-play fella he was. And then we replaced him with Warren Swain. You ever heard of a fella goes by the name of Jeff Moats? He's about 17 feet tall, 350,000 pounds of just pure broadcasting excellence. He does a hell of a Warren Swain impression if you ever get a chance to meet him.
We might have to reach out to Moatsy for that one.
Moatsy might be out there listening right now.
He's got all kinds of talent brewing in there, and that's just one of them.
Well, let's talk turkey talent, and the weekend is NFL. We'll get to some Nebraska basketball, Claus. Sorry, but we got to predict that one as well. Kansas City, Buffalo, Chiefs -2. I think there's points. I think there's fun. I think there's a new AFC champion. Elijah's frowning right now. He says, you know what? You just gave them the kiss of death. This is for Team Searles. This is for Team Thurman. This is for Team Kelly. And, of course, this is for all those folks who can't watch and stay in Kansas City. Give me the Bills 35. Give me the Chiefs 31. Bills go on to the Super Bowl. Elijah.
I saw the Bills win a tight game by the skin of their teeth last week, despite the fact that the Ravens shot themselves repeatedly in the foot after halftime. Looking at you, Mark Andrews. They still almost blew that game. the Chiefs, what they have done this year is they have won close game after close game after close game. You can talk about the refs all you want. It still takes something special to go win that many close games. This game's going to be close. I'm not picking against the Chiefs in a close game. Give me them 27, the Bills 24, and the Chiefs advance to another Super Bowl.
Okay. Heavy, that's fine. Team Kelsey and Team Seth. We had to shout out all the Bills folks and Team Schick.
Yes.
All the Bills folks.
Let it be known. I'll be rooting for the Bills, but This is with my head, not with my heart.
Okay. Claus, where are you at, bud? You going Chiefs or you going Bills?
Well, first of all, I could not hear Elijah when he was speaking at all.
That should be fixed now.
Been... Oh, darn. Anyway. Christopher, you picked the Bills. Elijah, you're a Broncos fan, so I assume you didn't have a lot of good things to say about Kansas City. And by my tally, that is at least 30 penalty yards that we ought to just award Kansas City at the start of the game. So I think first of all, I think it's hilarious that people are complaining about Kansas City getting all the calls. You see, a lot of Chiefs fans are also Nebraska fans. And so I think it's a little bit of karmic payback for us to see one of our teams that we root for get all the calls. I mean, Patrick Mahomes barely gets touched in his 15 yards. Our receivers all season get mugged going down the field, and we get nothing. Now, granted, it is our receivers' fault for dressing that way, like a football player for Nebraska. Wow. I'm just here to tell you facts and say the hard truth that people are scared to say. But I do think it's a little karmic payback, and I do think it may play a role in this weekend's game, which is why I say Kansas City 27 and Buffalo 24.
All right.
Claus and I have the same score. How about that?
Look at that. Philadelphia, Philly fan, trying to get back to the Super Bowl. Washington is, Daniels is incredible. The receiving core good. The defense not so much, but a dinged up, beat up quarterback in Jalen Hurts. I think Saquon and the Philly defense is enough. And third time will be the charm again for Philly. And I hate saying this because I can't stand the fan base, but give me the Eagles 21. Give me Washington 17. What do you say, Elijah?
Yeah, too much Saquon, too much rushing attack, too much Eagles offensive line. And hey, don't be fooled. It's not just the offensive line. That defensive line from Philly is pretty dominant as well. I got them winning this football game 24-20, a win and a cover for the Commanders, but a win for the Eagles. There it is.
Claus, where we at here, Philly or Washington?
Well, you mentioned your disdain for Philadelphia fans, and Washington fans haven't always been known as being the greatest, but the fan base that I'm most concerned about in this game are Dallas fans. They're now the team that has gone the longest without appearing in an NFC championship. They have an owner who looks like if Yoda's skin suddenly turned white with a bad tan. Wow. And that guy said they were going all in, and now they're watching their two biggest rivals play for a shot in the Super Bowl. That's got to be very difficult. I mean, can you imagine being a fan of a team that last won a championship some 30 years ago, chokes in all the primetime games that they somehow still get because the ratings are generally good, and having to deal with that type of a fan base that's just both vociferous and sometimes it couldn't be me. I have no idea what that's like. So it's going to be a rough weekend for them. I think Washington is probably a year or two away. So I'm going to agree with you guys and say it's going to be the Eagles 28 and Washington 20.
How bloody does it get in Madtown? Give me Wisconsin 81, Nebraska 69. And I think Wisconsin covers. I'm going to guess that it's 9.5. Elijah?
Let's just see double digits. 10.5. Let's go 10.5.
Okay. Nebraska blowout, or are they competitive?
They get blown out.
Blown out. What do you say, Claus? Going Nebraska basketball to cover?
Well, our defense of the three-point line has been so bad that even Byron Bennett could make it. Tough to say. I'll take Nebraska in this one, 69-68.
You just absolutely crushed old Byron.
Yeah,
My Lord.
There's a couple today that I just don't think I would feel comfortable laughing at.
That was off the top rope. Claus, enjoy your football weekend and cheer hard, pour a bloody for the Nebraska-Wisconsin tip-off Sunday, all right?
Okay, I guess we'll see you at 7:45-ish.
Tomorrow morning, for sure, Claus. Be good, buddy. Thank you much.
Okay.
We'll wind down a Friday here on Hail Varsity.
This is Jim Keck, minister of First Plymouth Church, inviting you to join us for a broadcast of our worship service every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. on KFOR.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance. If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Comfort, energy, performance, and pain relief at the Good Feet store. Visit the store for a free test walk at 27th and Pine Lake Road across from South Point Mall near PetSmart or at goodfeet.com.
Thanks to the Good Feet store. Fortunes await you at Warhorse Lincoln this January. Celebrate the Year of Fortune with over $30,000 in prizes. Earn entries for our Lunar New Year drawings all month long. Get one free entry daily and earn extras by playing slots, table games, or placing a horse racing bet. All leading up to Lunar New Year on January 29th, when 11 lucky guests will choose an envelope to win up to $9,999 cash. Only at Warhorse Casino Lincoln, Highway 77 and West Denton Road. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Whether you're tinkering in your garage or tackling big projects, if you know the value of working with your hands, you know Harbor Freight. And you can be confident knowing that at Harbor Freight, you can get quality tools at prices that work just as hard as you do. Because the only thing more satisfying than a job
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time, it's Hail Varsity. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, 489-1240. You have Joseph chiming in, says, feel bad for Dallas fans. Jerry is holding the franchise hostage. Game Dog says, after Parcells, Jerry will never hire another coach that has more shine than him. Puppets only for Jerry. That's too bad. Could have had Prime. I don't know that Prime works in the NFL. Like, respected, incredible, best ever at quarter, arguably. But he's able to connect more with the college demo than some guy making as much or more than his head coach. Simple enough.
And like, I do think, and people may disagree with me on this one because Coach Deion Sanders is such a divisive topic.
Mm-hmm.
I think the players that go into Colorado leave Colorado as better men. And I think that's an important aspect of being college football coach.
I think he's pretty sincere. I don't think he's full of...
I think he's sincere.
Yeah.
I think he has legitimate care for making sure that his players leave his football program not only as better football players, but as better men. And hey, you can disagree with his tactics all you want. I disagree with some of his tactics. I think that's an important trait to have in a college football coach, and he has it. That for the most part, you hear about some of the discipline that he handles at Colorado, how he gets guys in line, gets them playing football, gets them playing for the team. I think for the most part, those guys leave the football program at Colorado better men than they entered.
No, Coach Brandon checks in, says, I agree, Elijah. That's 1,000%. And I think his motives are pretty genuine.
And I'll say, just to finish that point, you need more people in college football like that because it's not uniformly like that across college football. A lot of places, I mean, there's so much pressure, there's so much money. You don't always have guys leaving the football program that they enter as better men. I think Deion Sanders has that within his football program. I think Matt Rule has that within his football program.
Mm-hmm.
You need more guys like that in college football because at its roots, I mean, that's what you're doing as a college football coach. Yeah, you want to win games. Yeah, you want to develop NFL players, but you're molding young men as well. It's important. It's an important part of the job.
That era, that demo is huge. 18 to 22, 18 to 23, and or older now, right? What's on the weekend plans aside from 7:45ish tomorrow morning football?
I think it's time for the deep cleaning of a house. So I'm gather the roommates together. We're going to powwow, a little pep talk. We're going to make sure we get the guys working all in the same direction this weekend. And I think the deep clean's in order. Spring cleaning, if you will. It's a little early for a spring cleaning, but I think it is time. Other than that, watching football, hanging out. Weather looks like it should be all right. So maybe get outside. I'm not sure what is there to do outside right now. Maybe I'll just go sit on my back patio and drink one beer before I get cold and then head back inside.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll figure out something.
I think Junior wants me to make him biscuits and gravy. So I may fire that up Sunday after the Average Joe pod at 10:30.
Love me some biscuits and gravy.
Yeah?
Yeah. The thing is, some people say you got to hand make your biscuits. Unnecessary.
No.
Get the ones out of the can, but you hand make the gravy.
Oh, for sure.
You fry up that sausage, get that flour.
You don't do the mild, you do the hot.
Absolutely. Yes.
You do the hot.
Yes, because you're putting in so much milk that it's going to kind of cool that anyway.
Well, you get the half and half.
Are you using turkey sausage?
No, no, I am not. I will save the turkey sausage for the Monday through Friday. I will go diesel on Sunday. Based on my weekend eating habits, I will come back as Svelte 201 on Monday. Back at you tomorrow morning for the weekend edition, 7:45. Thanks for tuning in to Hail Varsity.